Hey everyone, Poindexter here. We begin our last week of October, and we're going out with a bang. The U-boat pens of our current secondary mission need some attention, and we finally have the points to purchase the bombs that will be effective enough to deal with them. So, let's get started. We start the week with 13 SO points. We add our weekly allotment of 15, but remove 3 for the U-boat presence, for a final total of 25. Our first mission will be against one of our 3 current U-boat pens. Before we select our target for this week, let's take a moment to look at the characteristics of this particular target. As you can see, all U-boat pen targets have the Hardened trait. This means that we will have to subtract 1 hit from the hits inflicted by each bomb counter against the target. It is for this reason that we need to purchase bombs with the best chance of making the most hits. And the best bomb for that purpose is the M34. As you can see by the hit numbers, this one bomb can do a lot of damage. However, it does have a couple of drawbacks. First, it costs 3 SO points per bomb, which is why I took that extra week hoarding SO points. Second, it is very heavy, with 4 weight points. This means that a B-17, which can only carry 6 weight points, can only carry 1 M34, while a B-24 with 8 weight points can carry 2. So, now that we've discussed the properties of both target and bombs, we'll choose our target for this week, which will be U-boat pen number 2 in Lorient, France, worth 3 victory points. The target is in Hex 8, well out of range of any German squadrons. We're allowed a maximum of 5 bombers for this target, and we'll need every one of them. Flak over the target is slightly inaccurate, but more numerous. We'll need to do 14 points of damage to destroy the target, and we'll get no extra help due to the 0 air-to-ground modifier. As a bonus, if we do manage to destroy the target, we'll receive a bonus of 3 replenishment points for use at the end of the month. Since we'll need every advantage to destroy this target, we're going to take both of our B-24 groups, since they can carry more bombs, and our B-17 groups that have the highest air-to-ground modifiers. The 44th Bomb Group will lead the mission, followed by the 93rd, the 97th, the 92nd, and the 305th. With our 25 SO points, we'll purchase 7 M34s. With our 4 remaining SO points, we'll purchase 3 M43s for our B-17s, which leaves us with 1 SO point. We'll load up our B-24s with 2 M34s and give our B-17 groups 1, and we'll place the smaller M43s on our B-17s to fill them out. We place our mission markers on their respective maps, and we roll for the German response, even though our track will take us well out of range of any intercept. The roll is a 9, modified to 7 for an average response. The bomber stream forms up over England, and we draw an event card. The card is Increased Luftwaffe Activity. Since our groups will not be intercepted at any point in the mission, we'll ignore the card. The bombers make their way to the U-boat pen and line up for their bomb runs. The 44th Group flies through a flak barrage. and they take a minor hit on rolls of 8 and 4, which cause 1 point of damage. The 44th will be bombing with a +1 modifier. The group calls bombs away, and it's a solid hit on modified rolls of 7 and 11. Normally, the 7 would cause 3 hits, but because the U-boat pens have the Hardened trait, 1 hit is removed, and the bomb causes only 2 hits. Likewise, the roll of 11 would normally cause the maximum 4 hits, but because this is a hardened target, only 3 hits are caused, for a final total of 5 damage points. The 93rd group is next, and they fly through a flak barrage. And the B-24s are hit hard on rolls of 2 and 10 for 3 points of damage. The 93rd group has no modifiers and will have to rely on the dice roll. They line up and drop their bombs. And it's another solid strike. Both bombs hit on rolls of 8 and 9. Modifying the hits due to the target's Hardened trait causes 5 more points of damage, for a total of 10. The B-17s are up next, and the 97th flies through a flak barrage. And the flak gunners miss on rolls of 3 and 5, modified to 2 and 4 for durability. The 97th will be bombing with a +1 modifier. The group calls bombs away, and it's a weak strike. Both bombs hit on modified rolls of 4 and 9. However, the M34's hit is ineffective, thanks to the Hardened trait. The smaller M43 does do 1 point of damage, for a total of 11. The 92nd forms up over the target, flies through a flak barrage, and the gunners miss wide on rolls of 1 and 2, modified to 0 and 1 for durability. The 92nd will bomb with a +1 modifier. The group drops their bomb load, and it's another weak hit. Both bombs hit on modified rolls of 3 and 7, but the M34 scores no hits because of the Hardened trait. The smaller M43 does manage to cause 1 hit, for a final total of 12. It's all up to the 305th Bomb Group as they fly through a flak barrage. And the gunners miss on rolls of 4 and 2, modified to 3 and 1 for durability. The 305th will also bomb with a +1 modifier. Fingers crossed, the group drops her bomb load. And the strike is ineffective on modified rolls of 3 and 2. Though not destroyed, the U-boat pen is heavily damaged, with 12 hits. Our groups turn for home, and we draw an event card. And the card is On the Ball, which designates one group as fast for the homebound flight. The fleet wings its way over the channel and lands safely in England. We replaced the numbered damage markers with a heavy damage marker and placed the U-boat pen back into the target area. All 5 groups receive 1 experience point for the mission. The 93rd and 305th bomb groups are now very close to promotion. Since we don't have enough SO points to purchase more bombs, and since we only have 2 bomb groups that haven't flown a mission yet, we'll send them back to Airfield 1 in Abbeville, France. We replace the heavy damage marker with a number 10 damage marker. Only the 301st and the 91st will be sent against the airfield, and we'll send the 4th Fighter Group along as escort. With their new veteran status, the 4th Fighter Group now has a fast speed, and a +4 air-to-air modifier. Combined with Anderson's out-of-the-sun tactic, this group will be a menace to any bandits that go up against it. The bombers will be loaded with M30s, and we place our mission markers on their respective maps. We roll for the German response, and it's a 3, modified to 1 for a poor response. Our bombers form up over England, and we draw an event card. And the card is AA fire. We're to roll 1 dice for each group. On an 8 or 9, 1 damage point is added, and on a 10, 2 points are added. And the rolls are 4 and 5, and no damage is caused. The groups cross the channel, and 1 German squadron is activated. Once again, a no bandit counter is drawn, and our 2 groups line up for their attack runs. The 301st is up first, and the group flies through a flak barrage. And the gunners draw blood on a roll of 7, modified to 6 for durability, and 1 point of damage is caused. The 301st will bomb with a -1. We add 2 for the target and 2 for the M30s, for a final +3 modifier. The B-17s drop their bombs, and, unsurprisingly, all 3 bombs miss on modified rolls of 7, 7, and 4. The 91st group is up next, and they weather a flak barrage. And the flak gunners miss on a roll of 5, modified to 4 for durability. The 91st will bomb with a +4 modifier, 2 for the target, and 2 for the M30s. The 91st salvos her bomb load, and it's just enough to destroy the airfield. 2 bombs hit on modified rolls of 13, and 1 misses on a 6. With 14 points of damage, the Abbeville airfield is finally destroyed. We gain 3 victory points, and with that, another German squadron is removed from the map. Since we were in Hex 11, we remove the marker from that space. Our victorious groups turn for home, and we draw an event card. The card is Smooth Weather, which does not affect us, and we land home safely in England. We remove the destroyed airfield and replace it with another airfield in the target row. Our groups receive 2 experience points for the successful mission, and we add 3 victory points to our total, which now stands at 34.
Chief, I need you over here to look at this.
We'll now begin our end-of-the-month phase. First, we evaluate our secondary mission status. Since we have not completed the mission, we move the card from the Month 1 area to the final Month 2 area. Next, we perform the German defense adjustments in our active theaters. Our dice roll will determine if the theater will advance, retreat, or remain in place. Before we roll, we need to account for any dice roll modifiers. In this case, we subtract 1 for each German squadron present in the theater. The Mediterranean theater has 1 German squadron, so we apply a -1 to the final dice roll. The front will move forward on a modified 9 or greater, and will retreat on a modified 2 or less. And the roll is a 1, modified to 0 because of the presence of the German squadron, and the Mediterranean marker retreats 1 space to the torch region. Next, we roll for the USSR. There are 2 German squadrons present, so we'll apply a -2 to the die roll. Since it will be impossible for the theater marker to advance, even if we roll a perfect 10, and since the marker cannot retreat any further than its current location, we'll forego rolling for any theater modifier, as there will not be any. With our adjustments completed, we remove the German squadrons from the board. We'll now add new German squadrons to the map. Adding up the current supply markers, we'll be adding 9 new squadrons to the game board. Just like last month, a roll of 2 will place a squadron in the Mediterranean theater. Rolls of 3 and 4 will place them in the USSR theater, and anything 5 or higher will be sent to Europe. Thanks to Commander Schroer's +1 modifier, we'll be adding +1 to all dice rolls, which means no squadrons will be placed in the Luftwaffe reserve space. So, after rolling for squadron placement, this is the final result. 6 new squadrons will head to Europe. 2 will head to the USSR, and 1 will relocate to the Med. Now we'll roll for the placement of our new 6 European squadrons. And this is the final result. It appears that Germany proper is heavily defended, but areas closer to the Channel and occupied France are more lightly defended, which could be of benefit to us next month. At this point, we would check for the activation of any new German technologies, but since there are none in this campaign, we'll move on to the German commander check. Commander Schroer will be replaced on a roll of 8 or higher. The roll is a 5, and Schroer remains in command. We now perform the group reassignment check, but since none of our groups are eligible to be reassigned, we ignore the check for this month. Our monthly replacement segment is next, and we are allowed 12 replacement points for this campaign. Adding up all of our damage markers gives us 9 points, and all of our damaged groups are back to full strength. There were no destroyed aircraft factories to build this month, so we move on to our final segment, adjusting the campaign timeline. We move our markers to the beginning of November, and with that, we complete our end-of-the-month steps. The month of October was a rough one, as we only gained 7 victory points in 3 weeks of combat, flying 2 missions per week. 21 more victory points will put us in the good range for our campaign, but we only have 5 weeks left to do it. Our future missions will have to be more decisive if we wish to finish the campaign with a decent score. Still, all is not lost, as most of our current groups are becoming highly experienced. We'll need all the help we can get as we grind on through the latter half of our campaign. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk again soon.